This is another sign of the times, an analysis, and a commentary. Again, Donald Trump is chaos and confusion. He has come to destroy the world, not to save it. He is the destroyer.
Too early for the blame game. That is the criticism of the Trump administration after the horrific scenes in Washington, D.C. this week. Joining me live now is Washington Examiner White House correspondent Christian Daytok. And Christian is in the briefing room, as we can see. That is the criticism, and it's come from not only the Democrats, but many Americans.
It is. No one really expects to deal with a tragedy this quickly into a term in office. But let's not forget, this is Donald Trump's second crack at the apple. That being said, after that tragic plane crash occurred Wednesday night, there were a lot of folks on social media blaming Donald Trump's freezing of federal hires, specifically at the FAA, for potentially contributing to the accident. Fast forward one day, Donald Trump comes in the briefing room, speaks to reporters, and he puts the blame fully on DEI. That's diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives that he claims lowered standards for hiring at FAA and other agencies, Tim. So it's still very early after this tragedy has happened. But again, a lot of fingers being pointed on both sides of the aisle before the dust has even settled.
It was very jarring, wasn't it, for many people to hear those words while first responders were still working in a frigid Potomac River?
It was, and I can tell you, living in D.C., we could hear the sirens of first responders reporting, and we don't even live anywhere down close to the Anacostia or the Potomac rivers. Again, just the speed with which this occurred, I think America collectively should take a step back, and in incidents like this, say, let's wait till the facts come out before we start trying to figure out who exactly is at fault. And let's not forget about the families of the victims out in Kansas. There were more than 60 people on board that flight, none of whom did survive, unfortunately, and it must have been like going through hell for those people while they were waiting to hear about their loved ones.
Oh, absolutely, and our hearts go out to all of those people. Now, changing subjects for a moment, Christian, the first 2 weeks of the Trump administration, you've been there, you've been watching it up close. It's been a bit of a Hollywood thriller, really, if you look at it, and it's hard to look away.
It's hard to look away, but for us in the press, we really have no choice, just again, because of the speed at which Donald Trump and this administration are trying to address their priorities. Again, if you transport back to before the election, Donald Trump promises hundreds of things he's going to do.
But I think that's not a very smart question.
Are you saying this crash was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring? And what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been.
I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. This is where it calls for wisdom. Let the one who has insight calculate the number of the wild beast, for it is a man's number, and its number is 666. And all these are more signs of the times.